Hey guys, Jake. I want to go over different techniques on how to do draw cutting. So this will be a 4-part series, and in this series, what I'm going to be covering is the actual act of drawing a sword. I'm not going into forms or different styles of drawing. I'm just going to go over the very basics of how to get your sword out of the scabbard while it's in your belt. Okay? So, get your sword in your belt. Okay? Now to start, you have the scabbard and the sword, right, in your belt. Usually what people do is they move the scabbard out from the belt line. Alright, so it's up to you how much you do it. Usually people do it for about elbows length. Okay, that's a common distance I see. Some people go a little further, some people go shorter. Whatever feels more comfortable to you, that's what you do. All right. Me, I actually kind of like it a little pretty far out. Okay. So first thing you do is obviously left hand on the scabbard, then right hand loosely gripping the suka. You see here, I'm only using my thumb and the webbing of my index between my thumb and index finger, and I'm just loosely holding the suka that way. Okay, so that's step one. Step two, release the sword from the scabbard. Okay, just push with your thumb on the handguard. Alright, that's all you have to do. Step three, use your left hand and look in the background as a reference point. I'm just going to hold the sword in this position. Okay, so use the background as a reference point and take a look at that. Okay, I'm just sliding my scabbard back. Alright, that's all you have to do. Slide the scabbard back. And then, what was it, step three, I think? Turn your hips and at the same time, move your arm out. Okay, I don't really have long arms, so that's what it's going to be for me. Show you once again. Just move the scabbard back. Then step three, turn your hips back while keeping the sword and scabbard in line. Okay, so when you're doing the hip turn, use your left hand to keep the scabbard and the sword in the same line. If you try to turn the scabbard with your hips, then you're gonna be turning the sword. Okay, so what you do is keep it in the same line, turn your hips back, move your dominant arm forward, release the sword, and then turn your wrists and rotate your hips and cut. Okay. Sorry, there's a lot of steps to it, but it is a little bit complicated. I just want to go over the details. Okay. So let me show you again from the side, a little bit slower and smoother. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So those are the basic counts you go through for a draw cut. Now next, I want you guys to really pay attention to this, okay? Because this part's really important. Whenever you're training with like a safe training tool, whether it's a Boken or an Iaido, if you're practicing draws, try to make sure you actually have a good saya or scabbard. So Boken, I know they make some plastic scabbards, and obviously Iaidos, they have a scabbard as well. But whenever you practice drawing, always practice slow and try to make it as noiseless as possible. Okay, so no noise. Alright? When you have no noise as you draw, then what that means is your drawing technique is very good because you're keeping the sword and the scabbard in line and in sync with each other. Okay? So that basically means you're drawing the sword straight out from the scabbard and there really is no danger. Okay? And the only reason why people get cut from doing draw cutting is because they let the edge drag on the inside or the top portion of the scabbard, and that splits the scabbard, and then eventually, it reaches their hand. Or they turn the sword from, they turn it left or right while it's inside the scabbard, and they're adding friction to their draw, so then it'll lose its momentum, and then there's cut will probably be misaligned. Okay, so let me show you guys really quick on how a draw should look like and how it should sound like. Okay. Okay, not a lot of noise there. Because this is just a factory scabbard and there's a lot of wiggle room in there. There's a little bit of noise, and for factory stuff, that's expected. Okay, so if you do get a little bit of noise, but you know that your edge isn't dragging inside, and it's just like the sides of the sword that are kind of like dragging a little bit in there, then that's okay. All right, but if once your edge starts dragging inside the scabbard, then that's obviously a bad thing. Okay, so yeah, this is part 1 of the drawing techniques tutorial, and part 2 will cover stance, and part 3 will be covering different styles of drawing. Alright, thanks for watching, guys, and as usual, train safe, train hard, and have fun.